Hi guys. All right, it's reading time. Need your reading hardback and turn to page 144. We're going to do a reader's theater named Backstage. Okay, so Backstage with Chris and Cassie. Roles: we have Chris, we have Cassie, we have director, actor, designer, and crew leader. Okay, so those are all the roles in the reader's theater. Setting: backstage in a large theater. Now follow along and we will read this story together. We are backstage at the play Sleeping Beauty. The play will open tonight to a sold-out audience. We are delighted to be interviewing some of the cast and crew of Sleeping Beauty. We have many questions for them. Let's get started. Welcome, director. Would you please start by telling us what a director does? Being a director takes an enormous amount of work. My job is to put the whole show together. I have been working on Sleeping Beauty for almost 6 months. Tonight we will perform for an audience for the first time. How did you get started on this play? First, I chose the script. There are many versions of Sleeping Beauty. I chose the one that I thought told the story in the most interesting way. What did you do after you had a script? I found actors, designers, and crew members. Did your job become easier after you had people to help you? I hired great people, but the hard part had just begun. Putting on a play is a lot of work. We needed to rehearse every day. We have had mandatory rehearsals every day for more than 2 months. What happens at a rehearsal? The actors practice their parts again and again. Part of my job is to pay attention to their acting. Then I give them tips on how they can make the performance better. That sounds interesting. What is the hardest part of being a director? Good question. It is difficult to criticize an actor's work. I try to do it gently. I don't want to hurt the actor's feelings. I just want to show him or her a better way to do things. That does sound difficult. It is, but the hardest part of directing is taking a good play and making it into a great play. This takes a lot of work from everyone, especially the actors. What does an actor do besides say lines? I can answer this question for you. Reading and learning lines is just a small part of an actor's job. I thought so. Please tell me more about your job. Acting is a lot of work. For example, to play Sleeping Beauty, I had to do a lot of work ahead of time. I watched and read many versions of the story. That sounds like fun. It was, but I didn't read the stories just to enjoy them. I paid attention to how Sleeping Beauty acted in each one. After I got the script for this production, I practiced reading the lines in different ways. How did you decide which way to use? My director was a big help. He suggested that I play Sleeping Beauty as a heroic character. Now I use a bold, brave-sounding voice to read my lines. How else do you make the character special? I practice reading my lines so that they sound natural. Of course, I wouldn't be Sleeping Beauty without my glorious costume. That leads us to our next guest, the designer. Are you responsible for all the costumes? That's right. I work with a team that makes costumes for our production. I love to draw, so I really enjoy creating costumes. Do you design anything else? Oh, yes. I want to immerse our audience in the world of Sleeping Beauty. To do this, I design the sets to look real. You must be very busy. I am. I help the director with the lights, sound effects, and music. Then I work with the crew leader to make our ideas come to life. I'm impressed. How did you learn about design? I went to an art school. I like to read about famous artists and designers. I get ideas by going to plays and museums. I learn about design all the time just by looking at the world around me. Crew leader, I just heard a bit about your job from the designer. That's right. My team and I help all the people in the show do their jobs. We make sure that things go smoothly. What are some of the jobs that you do? My biggest job is to run the soundboard. The soundboard controls all the sound in the show. I make sure that the audience can hear the dialogue and the music. It would be hard to understand the play without your help. The amount of work isn't a burden to me. I just need to pay careful attention to what's happening on stage. I need to be able to fix any problem quickly so that the show is not ruined by a problem with the sound. Thank you all so much for your time. I know you have a lot to do to prepare for opening night. We have one more question for each of you to answer before you go. What would you tell someone who dreams of being in your shoes one day? Crew leader, let's start with you. Anyone who wants to be a crew leader must be able to pay attention to details and solve problems quickly. What advice would you give, director? A director must get along well with people. When you respect others, it is easier to work with them. Great advice, director. What would you say, actor? To become good at what I do, I had to work hard for many years. I take my job very seriously and I practice. Anyone who wants to do my job would need to do the same. Finally, designer, what advice would you give? I would tell the person to be creative. It is important to study and read about great artists. It is also important to have your own ideas and share them with the world. Thank you again for telling about your jobs. Good luck, and thanks for joining us backstage. All right, guys, I'm including a couple of questions for you to answer, just like you did in the other stories, and just answer them and send them back to me. All right, guys, enjoy the story. Bye.